Hi everybody, it's Anne and welcome back to another Flosstube episode. Today is Friday, March 16th. Halfway through March already. I hope everybody's doing great as usual. I have no idea what day of the month it is. Every day is the same here, I guess. Anyway, things are good here. We actually had some rain last night. We had this big windstorm. It was awesome. We had like blowing rain and then some snow, and there was even some standing water on the ground when I went out for a run today at 11. It was fantastic. It was really, really wonderful. We needed it so badly. And it's also much cooler today, which feels good. So I have one of my favorite sweaters on and kind of settled in for a warm afternoon. I've got a few things left to do for the business this afternoon, but then I'm gonna build a fire and hang out with my two best four-legged friends, and one of them's right here on the floor hanging out with me today. Hopefully she'll be pretty quiet. She's feeling a little clingy because a friend of mine came over for dinner last night. Hi, Joy. And the dog was banished to the downstairs because she's a little too exuberant to be participating in dining festivities. So today she's glued to my side, you know, because 24/7 is not enough interaction as far as she's concerned. Let's see what else. Yesterday was kind of one of the more annoying days I've had. So I got a phone call about 11:30, I guess, and it was a woman's voice. It was a number I recognized as a local exchange, but I didn't recognize the number, and it just was the number on my caller ID. It wasn't somebody I knew. And so she said, "Hi, I saw that you called me and it was a missed dropped call." And I said, "I think you must have the wrong number. I didn't call you. You know, I hadn't made any phone calls. I was busily working away." And she was like, "Uh-huh, right." And hung up. Okay. So she called me back maybe 2.5 hours later. It was just after lunch. Completely irate. Basically handed me my rear end on a platter and said that whatever I needed to do to put her on my no-call list, I needed to go ahead and do that because she had it and that was enough, and she was going to report me. And I still hadn't called this person. So I said, you know, hey, time out here. I think we need to back up, and what are you even talking about? I don't recognize your number. I mean, I know it's a local number because I'm right down here, you know, in the suburb, such as it is. I haven't called you at any point in time today. I am like an individual person. I don't know what you're talking about. And she said that she had gotten multiple phone calls from my number over the course of the last 24 hours, trying to get her to give me her credit card number to sign up for an extended warranty on a vehicle that she didn't even own. Nice, huh? So, I mean, I apologized to her in the sense that I said, "I'm sorry because I'm sure this is really annoying, but you have to understand that it's not been me at all. This isn't me calling you. So I kind of have no control over it, but I'll contact my carrier and we'll find out if there's anything I can do." So I hung up with her, and she did apologize for having, you know, completely gone off the rails on me, but at the same time, still, random people calling to be ugly to you. Really, no one needs that. So I talked to my carrier, my cell phone carrier, and I said, you know, hey, what's the deal with this? And they said that there's this new scam going on where telemarketing companies, what they will do is they use a computer program to basically, they know the area code and the prefix for a locale, like 801, 505, and then they just randomly generate the last four digits of a number. And they put that up on their caller ID. So apparently that is how they had been making these calls and using that caller ID number basically as a front, since it's not their number, it was my number, to make these scammer phone calls. And so I said, okay, great. Well, how do you get them to stop? And they said, well, we have no control over it because they're calling from a computer. They're not calling from a phone line that we can figure out where they are or we can track them. They've not stolen your phone, because obviously I still had my phone. So my two options were, one was I could fill out a multiple page online form with the FCC and wage a complaint, basically, that this had happened to me. At some point, the FCC might investigate it, but, you know, honestly, the rep from my carrier said they're never going to be able to find these people, because what they'll do is once they figure out your number's no longer working, they'll drop it and they'll use somebody else's. Okay, so there's no recourse to this, but in the meantime, you have to think that this wasn't an isolated incident. I had several other calls where people had like called me back and then hung up as soon as I answered yesterday, which I thought was weird, but after I had had this conversation with this irate woman, I was like, I wonder if that was more of the same. So the FCC potentially could investigate it, but realistically, they probably weren't going to. And so as long as my number stayed live, this company or this person could continue to use it for their own nefarious means. And that's really annoying. So even though I had had this number for, I think it's been 8 years, and it has all of my business contacts on it, it has, you know, all of my text alerts, it has everything, like my entire life that's attached to it. When I fly, if there's a cancellation, you know, I have it set up that it'll send an alert to that number. All of that had to go away because I had to change my phone number yesterday. I was really, really irked. And it would seem to me that there would be some way, somehow, that they could not punish the individual who's in good faith using a phone number for their own personal use and not for telemarketing scamming purposes, and be able to make it stop, basically. But apparently that is not a truth. That doesn't work. Okay, so excuse me one second. I'm still in the throes of late cold, maybe runny allergies, who knows. Anyway, so now 7.5 minutes into my rant, that was my day yesterday. So I think I've texted like everybody I needed to, you know, my folks, my husband, our pet sitter, I fixed stuff at our bank, like all of that kind of stuff. But you know how many hours that took to do? I would much rather have been doing pretty much anything else yesterday than doing that. So, sidebar. Okay, let's talk about stitching. I drew a winner for the Drawn Thread Simply Autumn pattern giveaway. That was Teresa. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, so I'm not going to butcher it. Teresa, I have sent you a message via YouTube asking you to send me your snail mail, and I will get that pattern packed up and shipped out to you in a mailer. And it will be on its way, so you can work on it whenever you'd like. That was kind of my housekeeping note from my last video. You need to go lie down. So the last 5 days, what I have been working on is my Desert Mandala chatelaine. I think I mentioned last time I worked on this that my current plan is to work on the upper section so that I could start doing some of the beading, and I'm going to try to get it done basically down to here and then move the scroll rods, you know, to roll this up and take that up that way. So I'm not constantly like rolling down, rolling up, rolling down, rolling up to work on sections, even though this next section with this deco border and these borders goes all the way around. So there's 4 of these, and they will have the landscape. There's 4 different landscapes. They'll have the landscapes in them. Now there is another border up here, which I did not get to on this rotation. So I am going to have to move the scroll frame down, which is kind of why I stopped the border where I did, because I think I'm going to have to move it so it's about there to be able to get the last little bit up at the top. Once the border is in up here, there's one narrow border that goes up above it, so it'll be pretty close to right here for the top edge. but not quite. Let me pull in here a little bit. Okay, so you can see that I've been working on the deco border. I've added some of the cryneck. I've added the 2 colors of beads. There's kind of a turquoise bead, and then there's kind of an iridescent purple bead in there. This whole section is specialty stitches, and I will do a separate Chatelaine Diaries video that goes over some of the specialty stitches once I get a little farther. These spots right here have square treasures in them, so that's what those are. Again, this border, there will be the first landscape will live in here. And I've also started, there's a little, it's just this long, little border that's similar to the deco border right here. And then there's 4, is it 4? Must be 4. 4 feathers that are just done in DMC. So this is the start of the first feather. And let's see, let focus. So you can see there are some dense rhodes stitches here. Those are the purple ones. There's some Algerian eyelets and some regular rhodes stitches making up that border. And I don't have the beads done on this section. I just wanted to kind of get started. So like I said, I'm going to wind up having to roll the frame to about here in order to finish everything up in this top section. So this will come out again in April. Lots and lots of detailed stitches in this, which you can obviously see. And to be honest, I've got a couple of work deadlines, so I have not been able to devote kind of as many hours to this as I might like to work on this month, but that's okay. You know, just working on it as I work on it, and that is fine and dandy. So let me grab my little planner book. So the next 5 days, I'm going to be working on my 6 of Swords project again, which you saw in my last video. I worked on that at the beginning of the month. I'm going to work on it for the next 5 days and see how far I get. And then I'll decide whether I'm going to stick with that, because I have, after I work on that for 10 days, or 5 days, I'll have 10 days left in the month. So I have 2 other projects to rotate through. One of which is Key to My Heart, that's a Tempting Tangles design, and the other of which is a 3rd rotation on 6 of Swords. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do 2 5-day rotations on 6 of Swords back to back or not. I tend to think probably not. It'd be nice to have a little break. I am still going to try to get a page finish on that for the end of this month. That's a goal that I would really like to have. We'll see how far I get. Yeah, I think that's it for the in-progress stuff. I have no finishes for this go-round. I certainly have not been stitching enough to get to the finish point of things. We'll share with you this month's, well, actually, I guess this is technically February's colorway of the Color and Cotton Fabric of the Month Club. This is a 32 count Lugana. The colorway is Rose Water. And this is a great kind of, it's definitely got some pink to it. That's actually not too bad. It's a really soft kind of modelly grade antique feeling pink. That is just about right. It's beautiful. There are so many projects I could see going on this and working out beautifully. You know, it's got enough kind of grayish brown undertones that you could almost make it prim, but it's such a lovely, soft, feminine color. I could completely see a Joan Elliott or one of the Mirabilia ladies on it. I just think it's super, super pretty. Well done, Angela. That one is I think one of my favorites, and I almost always love what she sends, but I think this one's kind of in a separate class altogether. So that came this month. And I don't have any specific pattern picked out to use on it yet, but like I said, I think it goes with enough stuff that, you know, you could select many different things to go on it. And I think that's it, guys. Pretty short and sweet. I will likely try to pop in the last week of March, first week of August, first week of April with my next update. And it seems like they're kind of running about 2 weeks, every 2 weeks. And I haven't really planned that, but it's just kind of worked out that way. So I may kind of try to sort of stick to that. We'll see how it goes and see whether or not I have enough done to stitching wise to warrant a video in and of itself. So yeah, I think that's it. I hope everybody is doing great. I hope that you've had more time to stitch the last 2 weeks than I have. Hoping to remedy that in the short term anyway. So until next time I talk to you guys, have a wonderful couple of weeks. I hope that you are enjoying March, whatever the weather is like in your neck of the woods. So take care and happy stitching. Bye.